And good morning at 7:03 on this Tuesday, February 2nd. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Hello, everybody. Welcome on a Tuesday. Glad to have you with us. It is Groundhog Day. And I'm going to start out this morning just a little bit different because if I don't do it right now, I might forget. Today is my grandson's birthday in Kokomo. Well, actually, Greentown, Indiana, outside of Kokomo. And I've already forgotten, 22, I think. He could be listening, but I doubt it. But anyway, his name is Cole Walker. Happy birthday, Cole. Now, with that, let me introduce from Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, Tracy Pope, Director of Community Relations for the hospital. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman.
You're smiling as usual. I hope things are going well.
Going wonderfully.
And we have a guest this morning that you have brought. I believe this is the first time. He's fairly new here, isn't he?
Yes. You know, we have been part of the Vanderbilt health system for about 18 months now. And during the 18 months, we are planning and bringing in new service lines. So we have Dr. Coley with Vanderbilt Heart here to tell us all about the programs that we have in Lebanon and hopefully future plans that we have coming.
All right. Well, Dr. Merle Coley, did I get that right?
You perfect, Coleman.
All right, Dr. Merle Coley. We welcome you to our program and I guess to Lebanon and Wilson County and all of this. So how long have you actually been with Vanderbilt Heart?
So I have been practicing cardiology. I practice mainly in Murfreesboro, and so I've been here for 26 years. But through the years, I've been slowly promoted, and one of my responsibilities is the Associate Medical Director for the Outreach Clinic. So I help manage clinics not only in Lebanon, but also Columbia, Franklin, Murfreesboro. So my job is to help build these cardiology practices in these regions.
Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Alabama. I was born in India, but grew up in Alabama in a little town called Sheffield. And did my medical school there in Birmingham at UAB, and then went to residency at Emory in Atlanta, and then my fellowship in Louisville. That's about as far north as I wanted to get.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. You've stayed in the South.
Yeah, so
consider Louisville barely in the South. But.
Yeah, it's just that Mason-Dixie line, but right. That's about as far north as I wanted to get, and I knew I wanted to come back south, and came back to join the practice that ultimately became part of Vanderbilt Heart.
Why in the beginning did you choose this? I mean, even if you're going to be a doctor, an MD, there are a lot of different ways you can go, but you've specialized in the heart.
Yeah, I just didn't think I was smart enough to be a general practitioner. You have to know so much about so many different things. So in cardiology, I was able to concentrate and be really, really good at one part. And cardiology encompasses so much. It probably is about 40% of what patient care is about in terms of general medicine. So it's an important part. And once you get started in the training, different things give you pleasure. And cardiology has a number of different things, everything from surgical things that you can do, as well as the patient contact and the long-term relationships you develop with patients. So there's a lot of different things that are encompassed in that subspecialty that kind of give you a lot of opportunities to
I guess you've learned a lot over the years, but you have pretty much specialized in this area, right?
Yeah, so my subspecialty is cardiology. So, I forget a lot of things that I used to know before, but mainly trying to learn more and more about the heart.
Well, let's talk about cardiovascular disease. What is cardiovascular disease?
Well, the easy answer is it's about the heart, but the heart pumps blood and nutrients to the rest of the body, so it includes a lot more outside the heart. The obvious things are the muscle of the heart, the valves, the electrical system, but also the circulation. So it encompasses blood pressure and peripheral vascular disease. So there's a lot that goes into what cardiovascular disease is.
How does a patient know when to come to see a cardiologist versus seeing a regular physician?
So I think the easy answer to that is understanding what the heart does, because it is a muscle. And so when things go wrong, that muscle doesn't work well. And when things don't work well, you have symptoms that go along with it: shortness of breath, discomfort, chest pain, palpitations, feeling the heart racing, lightheadedness, passing out, swelling in the arms and the legs, those kind of things. So all of the things that when the muscle is not doing what it's supposed to do, you start having things start to break down.
What do people usually go to their primary care physician at that time, or come to somebody like you?
So a lot of times people are not sure what's happening. So primary care physicians are really, really critical in helping evaluate what might be going on. You can get discomfort in your chest for a number of things. The heart is what we worry about, but you can also get discomfort and chest pain from indigestion and musculoskeletal pain and lung disease. So primary care physicians are really important in being able to determine which direction that people need to go in. You don't always need referrals to get to a cardiologist. I think most insurance companies now will allow you to decide to go to even subspecialists without referrals, but a lot of them still require referrals. So I think your primary care physician is an excellent place to start to decide if you need to go to a cardiologist.
Well, does somebody need a referral to see you?
That's not dependent on me. It's dependent on the insurance.
Okay.
So insurance companies usually make that decision.
So, in other words, if somebody wants to see you, you don't tell them they've got to go. I mean, you don't care.
Exactly.
Okay.
And actually, one of the things that we've been really proud of with Vanderbilt Heart is we actually have a system called same-day access. So we understand that when somebody is having pain and they're afraid, they're worried that it might be heart disease, it might be a heart attack, it may be something serious, they want to know about it very quickly. And so if somebody calls our office before 11 o'clock, we have a policy that we try to get them in the same day if needed. Obviously a lot of times it's hard to make those you have work, you have somebody who has to drive you and things like that. But to save you visits to the emergency room, to save this concern that people have when they think it's something life-threatening, we have that available where people can come in that same day.
Let's talk about the signs and symptoms of a heart attack.
Yeah. So the classic symptoms of a heart attack are chest pain. There's this old painting by Ralph Netter, who is an artist, and it has this picture of this elderly man clutching his chest, walking out of a restaurant with a cigarette in his hand, a little overweight, with a briefcase in his hand. And that's a classic picture, stress, not eating right, not exercising, being overweight, that chest pain. But that also ignores a lot of things about heart disease that is more complex. It's not always men. We understand now that women have heart disease at the same rates, and in certain age groups, even higher rates than men. They have different symptoms. So there are symptoms that may not be the classic chest pain in the chest. It may be arm pain. It may be radiation into the neck, into the back. It may be associated with nausea, shortness of breath. So those kind of symptoms are also there that we don't normally think about with heart disease.
Well, one of the things we hear a lot about is high cholesterol, and some common causes for that, and maybe how that relates to your heart.
Yeah, there's two parts of that. One is genetic, and unfortunately, a lot of that we can't change. You can't change the genetics you're born with. But some of that is also getting older. As we get older, our metabolism changes and our cholesterol profile changes. But the thing that we can do a lot about is diet and exercise. So what we eat plays a major part in what your cholesterol levels are, and the exercise that you put in can also change your cholesterol profile as well.
I've heard maybe several times that just walking regimen of walking goes a long way as far as exercise.
Exactly. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You get the biggest benefit from exercise from just purposeful walking. So 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, 150 minutes a week is what's recommended. If you do more than that, you get a tiny bit of benefit. So, even if you're in the gym a couple of hours a day, you do get benefit from that. But it's that first 30 minutes is really the key to the biggest risk reduction in heart disease.
So you certainly recommend walking.
Definitely. I think and walking, there's nothing magic about walking. It's just easy. You don't need special equipment. It's hard to make excuses of why you can't do that, other than maybe the weather and things. But even that, it's easy to get around those hurdles. And that's the big thing with exercise, is finding out what prevents you from doing it, finding out those hurdles and trying to get around those.
All right, it's time for us to take a break. Our program is presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Tracy Pope is here as usual, and this morning has brought Dr. Murley Coleman, and he's with Vanderbilt Heart. We'll take a break. This is Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And it's now 7:16. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Absolute Kubota and Rental, Lamprey, quality tractor implements, including cutters, finish mowers, box blades, tillers, and more. 5-year gearbox warranty. Extremely durable and well-built. 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. They're still trying to fill out paperwork on this crash out here. People are rubbernecking as they drive by 24 eastbound at Ellington Parkway. At least they opened it back up. That's good news. Traffic's on the increase through Kingston Springs right now on I-40 as all that traffic comes in behind it from Dixon County. Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies will be hosting Sleep of the Sharks March 27th. All the details at Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing has experienced new leadership and a new atmosphere. Same location in the heart of Lebanon, 731 Castle Heights Court on the Castle Heights campus. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing is providing 5-star clinical outcomes to short-term and long-term care residents. Call 615-444-4319 for a tour and to experience the new culture. Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing.
Coleman and Company, thanks for joining us. And again, our program presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Dr. Murley Coleman is with us this morning and picking up kind of where we left off. Let's talk about how somebody can prevent, if possible, high blood pressure.
So a lot of blood pressure is also genetic. There's about 30% of the population that has hypertension, so it's one of the most frequent disease processes that we deal with. But there's a lot of lifestyle changes that makes it come on sooner or more difficult to manage. So there are things that we can do to kind of reduce the likelihood of hypertension or make it easier to manage. So diet is a big part, reducing the amount of salt that you take in, reducing calories and weight. So for every kilogram you lose, every 2.2 pounds you lose, you can drop your blood pressure a point. Reducing salt intake, you may be able to drop your blood pressure 10 points. Exercise can drop blood pressure 10 points. Evaluating for sleep apnea can drop blood pressure. Alcohol use, when people for men, if they drink more than 2 drinks a day, or for women, more than 1 drink a day can cause elevations in blood pressure. So these are questions that when you go in to see your physician, they're going to be asking you about to see if there are things that we can do with lifestyle changes that may drop that blood pressure where you don't need to be on medications, or if you're on medications, make it easier to manage.
You mentioned the alcohol factor there. Are you saying maybe a drink a day is probably okay?
So, I don't advise my patients to drink for health reasons, but if they enjoy the drinking, to have a drink a day is okay. So it's
women as well.
For women, if you drink, and these are normal drinks. A lot of times, we don't necessarily always do normal drinks. So like 2 ounces of alcohol, 1 beer, Normal glass of wine is considered normal.
Okay.
So one drink for a woman, 2 drinks for a man seems to be okay from a health standpoint. And I think the bigger benefit that we probably get is the relaxation. So if you enjoy it and you're relaxing when you're doing it, you probably are doing good for yourself and may have some health benefits. But to do more than that, you start losing those health benefits. You start having the extra calorie intake, the extra cholesterol issues, the blood pressure issues that go along with the higher levels.
So for sure, concerning alcohol, moderation would be the key there if you're going to.
Exactly. Coleman, it sounds like you and I need to go have a drink and we'll be okay with that.
All right. What kind of testing do you do when a person has heart disease?
So part of it depends on the symptoms or why they come in to see us. So sometimes when people come in and are wanting just an evaluation, they don't really have symptoms. We may do testing, basic testing like an EKG and based on their age and their family history. But you can also do testing that gives us an understanding of their risk factors. There's a test called a CT calcium score that allows us to see how much plaque and cholesterol is built up in the heart that helps us further risk stratify. So a lot of the testing is questioning, understanding the risk factors, knowing what risk a person is at, and trying to figure out what their future risk is. Now, if they come in with symptoms, it's different. You're trying to figure out, sometimes if somebody comes in, I had a patient the other day that we had done some testing on a few years earlier. He was doing fine, but he was on the beach and all of a sudden started having chest pain, and every time he walked, he would have chest pain. Those symptoms are so classic for blockages in what we call angina. I did not need to do pre-screening. I didn't need to do a stress test or things like that. We took him straight to the cath lab, and he ended up having critical disease that he's in at Vanderbilt this morning undergoing surgery. So a lot of it is dependent on that, but we do have things like stress tests that help us determine when we're not sure. So a lot of it is talking to the patient, understanding what they're feeling, when those symptoms come on to help us decide that.
Is heart disease more prevalent? Have we got some kind of a handle on it? Is it maybe not as bad as it was 5 years ago?
Yeah,
I'm wondering about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. When I came out of training, it's 26 years ago now, heart disease was the #1 killer. And that it killed more than every other cause of death combined. This year is the first year that heart disease may drop below, not be the #1 killer, it may drop below cancer. And a lot of that has to do with the progress that we've made in identifying heart disease, in treating it, being able to do things like stents and bypass and stuff, but probably even a bigger factor is finding out heart disease before people have trouble and starting aggressive medications for things like diabetes and cholesterol and blood pressure and reducing the likelihood that they're going to have heart disease. So when I came out of training, heart disease was a revolving door. People would come in we would do balloon angioplasties, and 6 months later they'd come in again and again. We rarely see that now. Once we get someone into our system and we establish that they have heart disease, we are really aggressive about reducing their risk for future disease. We'll patch it up, but the closest thing that we have to a cure is managing that long-term risk, getting them on aggressive cholesterol medicines, getting them started on regular exercise, getting their diabetes and hypertension controlled.
You alluded to smoking earlier with the picture or whatever that was. Did you say it was a Norman Rockwell?
It's Ralph Metter. He's a famous artist that does these medical.
But anyway, I don't think that I've had a doctor out here in all these years we've been doing this who didn't come down hard on smoking, and I guess we want to add you to the list as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you had to invent something that was bad for heart disease, smoking would be it. So you get these immediate responses. Every time you smoke, it causes contraction of your arteries, and if you have plaque built up there, it can crack those plaques. And, if you get a crack on your skin and you get a blood clot for them, and that's a good thing, but if it occurs inside your artery, that plaque and that blood clot can suddenly turn into a heart attack. So you can go from normal health to that artery totally closing off in a few seconds, a few minutes.
Do you counsel people and those that you supervise on a lot that we've talked about this morning? And I'm thinking the answer is probably yes, and if so, I wonder the response to how well people respond to suggestions, and maybe sometimes strong suggestions from you.
I think most of us know the right things to do, and I don't. I kind of tell my patients, I'm not your mother, I'm not your preacher. You don't have to, kind of hide things from me or be ashamed of things. So I give them advice and kind of give them reasons and to talk about the hurdles. Just like you and I were talking earlier about, exercise. What is it that makes it hard to do that? Part of it is, you have to understand how important it is. And so my part as a physician is to educate people on how important it is to do these and how much of a difference it makes in your health. But ultimately is to kind of, not pressure people. I'm sure that most of my patients who come into me smoking, they want to quit. They find it hard to do that, and, to kind of find the situation, when somebody comes in with a heart attack or somebody comes in with chest pain, that's a perfect time for me to use some of the fear that they have and some of the motivation that they have and to kind of guide them in helping them to do that. Now, if I go in there and beat them on the head saying you got to quit smoking and if you don't do it, it's hard for them to kind of not be defensive and things. So I'm partnering with them to help them do that.
What's a normal clinic visit with you entail? Now, we've talked about this some, but the full answer here. Normal clinic visit, what would one entail?
Well, I think the biggest key is listening. I think patients understand or believe that I know what I'm doing and skilled at what I'm doing. If they didn't, they wouldn't be there in the first place. Mm-hmm. So the rest of it is I concentrate on it's not so much what I do, but how I make them feel. And so in order for me to get their trust, in order for me to have them believe in what I'm selling, I have to listen to what they're saying. And so hearing their fears, hearing their concerns, hearing their symptoms, and taking those seriously and kind of helping them navigate that fear and that, so our mantra in our office is comforting people. Mm-hmm. So we want to do everything we can to keep people.
And then, of course, there's some examination, I'm sure, and depending on what you find out, depends on where else you go in a visit.
Yeah. So, obviously, most of what you find out about what a patient needs is in the first couple of minutes. They tell you fairly quickly. But, you have to listen closely. You have to be, not in a rush to get out of the room. So sitting down, looking them in the eye, and being in that moment and really hearing is the critical key.
We would be remiss if we don't remind everybody February is Heart Awareness Month. And so when we talk about a heart-healthy diet, what are your recommendations for healthy eating?
As we mentioned before, moderation is key. The good diet is probably a good diabetic diet. Everybody kind of understands staying away from fried foods, staying away from carbohydrates as much as you can, reducing those, simple sugars, pushing away from the desserts, eating smaller portions, eating, vegetables and fruit more so than processed foods. I think those are the key things. But the bottom line comes down to moderation.
And one's weight can have a lot to do with heart disease too, right?
Yeah.
And of course, weight a lot of times has to do with our diet.
Yeah, and interestingly, weight is very important, but I think it's the end type thing. That's what we normally concentrate on. So I think if we concentrate more on exercise and diet, people who follow a good diet and exercise and are overweight tend to do well health-wise. The ones that don't do that tend to do worse. So I think it's more important. I mean, the weight is hard. It's probably the hardest thing that we ask people to do. But if you follow a good diet and good exercise, the weight hopefully will take care of itself.
We've covered quite a bit of territory this morning, but you've been doing this for a good while. You enjoy what you're doing, and any final words here in our last minute and a half?
Yeah, I mean, I love what I do. Both my girls are hopefully going to be doctors as well, so I bring home that love of what I do, and they see it and want to do the same thing. So,
well, we've sure enjoyed your visit this morning, Dr. Merle Cawley. And, of course, Tracy Pope. Tracy, we always give you the last word, and we got a minute here.
Yes, I've just really enjoyed getting to work with Dr. Coley, and the Vanderbilt Heart Lebanon Clinic has been part of the Lebanon community for many years, way before our hospital transitioned to Vanderbilt. But we're excited to see the additions that we are going to bring to that service line and to the residents of Wilson County. So. Yeah.
And one thing we didn't mention here, but we've mentioned this so many times, the tie-in with Vanderbilt and all the information that is available there, kind of at the headquarters in Nashville.
Absolutely.
That they have access to, and the personnel that are there if needed.
Yeah. And, it's kind of been a saying for the past 18 months that we don't consider ourselves a sole hospital anymore. We are part of a larger entity, and patients flow back and forth, especially during COVID. So we are so grateful to be part of the Vanderbilt Health System. And you can go on our website, VanderbiltWilsonCountyHospital.com, and see all the services that we do have in Wilson County that are available, and then, of course, in the Nashville area.
All right. Well, thank you both for being here, Dr. Coleman. To have you, and we appreciate your visit.
Thank you, Coleman.
That's part one of Coleman and Company. We hope you'll keep it here for more. FM 98.9.
And it's now 7:31. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. And it's all brought to you by Bates Ford. They've got the Works Vehicle Checkup. They'll make sure your vehicle is ready for any road. $49.95 up to 5 quarts of oil, tax and disposal. $16.73. West Main, you also get a tire rotation and safety check too. Now with traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. It's still a little bit busy here, but it's better than it was 20 minutes ago on 24 eastbound here up by Ellington Parkway, where people are still staring at the police as they fill out paperwork on this earlier crash. Starting to get a little bit busy at times now on 24 up by Harding Place. You got all that traffic behind it coming in from Rutherford County up past Bell Road. Traffic still holding up by the airport here over in Donaldson on I-40 here at Donaldson Pike. Right now, teachers and students can get 15% off all orders at Donut Distillery, located at 311 Gallatin Avenue in East Nashville. Check them out at donutdistillery.com. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
71 degrees all the way.
73 degrees, please.
So what's your perfect degree of comfort? We'll help you find it with professional Rheem HVAC service that'll keep your home comfy year-round, save on energy costs, and may qualify for utility rebates and tax credits. So enjoy a new degree of comfort.
72 degrees, and I'm good to go.
Financing available through TVA's Energy Right program and your local power company. Call Randy's Heat and Air 237-3604.
Vanderbilt Health is honored to announce the newest addition to our family of hospitals, Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital in Lebanon. This hospital will provide care for Wilson County residents with the goal of improving the health and well-being of our newest community. Hospitals are for healing, new life, and recovery. They're places of innovation and learning. At the end of the day, hospitals are all about one thing: community. Thank you for welcoming us into yours. Let's do great things together.
Nothing will slow you down in the weather department today. This afternoon, highs will top out in the mid-40s with plenty of sunshine. For your Wednesday, temperatures will climb to near 50 degrees and mostly sunny skies. On Thursday, clouds will be on the increase and so will our rain chances. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's Look at Your Forecast. I'm meteorologist TJ Scott.
Coleman and Company, we welcome you to part two. Thanks for joining us, and thanks now to Sean Dozier for not only being our advertiser for showing up this morning. Always good to see him and find out who the Harside Hello is going to go to. That's kind of the last thing we do. But Sean, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
You okay?
I'm okay. It's a little cold out there, but nice day today. It's going to be a nice day. It is. I think the groundhog saw its shadow is what I think MJ said.
Well, that was Punxsutawney Phil up in Pennsylvania, I guess.
That's right.
Well,
a little more, a few more weeks of winter.
Don't know what in the world that has to do with us here, but maybe there's a connection. I don't
Well,
know.
maybe so. Our residents are ready to get outside. You know, they've been cooped up really for several months now, so they're ready to get outside and enjoy some great weather. And on some nice days, you know, we're able to get out and walk around the building, so that's really great. And we are allowing porch visits now, and they can actually, residents and families can visit in the living room since we don't have any cases at the moment. So things are opening up, and that's really great. You know, this time, well, not this time last year, but April and May, you know, we were completely shut down. So now we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I think that's really great. We had our first vaccine shots 2 weeks ago, and we have our next one February 16th. So I think after that, it's going to be really, really good.
Well, of course, Shonda's Executive Director of Hearthside Senior Living, 215 Castlights Avenue North, but the community has been around since 1994. You started retirement community, 10, 12 years ago?
That's right. So the assisted living, of course, as you mentioned, started in 1994. It's been a great tradition for many, many people over the years. Families have used our community to serve their loved ones, and it's just been a wonderful ministry, really, for so many people. And then, as you said, 10 years ago, we started our independent living, and that's just been fantastic. It was a little slow start, I think, at the beginning. People sort of couldn't grasp the concept, but I tell you, over the last 3 or 4 years, it's really been great.
Got a waiting list.
We got a waiting list for that.
A mile long, but you've got a pretty long one.
We got a great waiting list. In fact, we signed a contract last week for a 3-bedroom home, and I think we'll hopefully have some more open up here soon, because I know we have several people that want to move in. And then this week we've got 2 people moving in our assisted living. So things are quite busy these days, and with things opening up again, people can tour and people can come out and see what we have to offer. And I encourage people to do that. You know, we do have some small rooms and also some medium studios available. So if they're interested, please reach out to me at 615-443-1994. I think you'll be very pleased at what we offer. Not only our community is beautiful, but our customer service, I believe, is fantastic.
Well, we know you have some good cooks.
We do have some good cooks. We have
actually, you have 3 meals a day for your residents, don't you?
Yes, we
plus snacks as well.
Yes, we have 3 meals a day, and we have snacks, and we have really we have ice cream available 24/7. So it's just our residents are well fed. You know, our cooks, Crystal, she's been there almost 25 years now, and she has done a tremendous job over the years, continues to do a tremendous job. Brenda has been there 5 or 6 years. She's our dietary aide. She's in there every morning, making sure they have their coffee or their milk or their orange juice. She knows what they want, you know. Yeah. So when you're there that long, you get to know the residents, and they appreciate that, because when they come into the dining room, they get what they are expecting. So I really appreciate Brenda, and I appreciate Elaine, and I appreciate Charles and Tammy and all the folks in the kitchen.
I've asked you this before, but I'll ask you again. About how many people are there that are fed 3 times a day? How many residents?
Well, we average around 40 residents in the assisted living, and then of course we have all the folks down in the independent living that do our curbside pickup. Yeah. So we feed probably 60, 70 people, 3 times a day.
Yeah. But 40 or so are right there in Hearthside itself, in the assisted living.
Right, and then used to, the independent folks could come in the dining room and eat, but we've had to stop that, obviously, because of the COVID situation. So we started the curbside pickup, and so that's been very, very popular. Yeah. Those $3 meals are still very, very popular. When you don't have to drive to Captain D's, or you don't have to drive to Hardee's, or you don't have to drive over to West Main or over to 231, you can just get in your car, literally drive up under the portico and grab your meal and go home. We spoiled them, Coleman.
Well, you've got a wonderful thing there for people as to get to be seniors and so on. It just, in fact, you left last week. Whoever was here was bragging about it after you left. And
good.
And and you're not the only one in town, but you probably are high on the list for most people.
Well, we hope to be high on the list.
First or second choice.
We hope to be high on the list, and if you're interested, we may not be your choice, but there may be other places.
Well, everybody ought to check it out.
Yeah, check us out and see what we have to offer. With our independent living, we've had several folks lately move up to the assisted living, so it's right there on one campus, and they feel very, very comfortable moving to a place that they've been at for many, many years. So it's just it's a great concept, and I love being a part of it.
All right, I guess it's time for a Hearthside Hello.
I'm part of the Wilson Rides board. Wilson Rides is a nonprofit that was started about a year ago. It kind of branched off from the Chamber's healthcare roundtable, and Wilson Rides is a nonprofit that's going to be allowing seniors to call and to get a volunteer to take them to the grocery store or take them to a doctor's appointment. It's really going to be a great service that's going to be offered. But yesterday, the board hired Gay Lynn Wilson, and she's going to be our new executive director. Many people know Gay Lynn. She's been around here a long, long time. She lives in Mount Juliet, but she's going to be a great addition, and the board was excited to sort of pass the baton to her yesterday and to get her started. So she's going to be calling a lot of folks over the coming months and raising money and getting volunteers to serve in this new nonprofit that you'll be hearing a lot about. It's called Wilson Rides, and again, it's for seniors that don't have transportation, or maybe their family's working and they just can't get to the doctor appointment, they can't get to Dollar General, they can't get to the Kroger, and so they just need maybe an hour or two for someone to come pick them up and offer that service. So Gay Lynn's going to be a great executive director, and I'm proud to announce that today. It was announced on Facebook yesterday. It's going to be announced in other places, but I wanted to give her a shout out because she's going to be fantastic.
All right, and that's who our Hearthside Hello goes to.
That's it, Gay Lynn Wilson.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us. I hope we'll do it again next Tuesday.
It's good to see you, Coleman. And listen, I hope it goes well with this next guest.
Just because he's wearing a UT jacket, it's just not going to turn me off that much.
Have a great week.
Thank you. You too. Sean Dozier, Executive Director for Hearthside Senior Living. We're about 20 minutes before the hour. Larry Tomlinson is here to talk this morning. And let me say that normally we would have Dr. Donna Wright here, Director of Schools, and she has a situation where she can't be here this morning and has asked Larry, who is the Chairman of the Board of Education, to come. And Larry, good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman.
You doing okay?
I am. You know, I kind of feel like back years ago when Johnny Majors was a football coach at Tennessee, and they always had his coaches show after the game. There was an old guy that sponsored that show, and his name was Louis Gidio, and he'd always come on every Saturday afternoon. He'd say, "It's not Johnny Majors, this is Louis Gidio." Well, I'm not Dr. Donna Wright either, so but I'm happy to be here. And,
did you have a board meeting last night?
We did.
We'll get to that in just a minute here. I've got to say a couple of things here this morning. First of all, didn't your mother had a birthday, and I believe it was 99, is that
99.
right? Miss Edna
Yeah.
Tomlinson, I've known all my life, and in fact, I was telling the doctors, he went out the door, and Tracy there, that I remember the day you were born.
Yes.
We lived out in Centerville, and back then we had a nice little village that's, by the way, Hamlet Hobbler did tell terrific Teresa to tell me that you and who was the other one that weren't the only ones that still live there? He still lives there.
He's still there. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he
you
sure is.
and David Tomlinson and Hamlet. I'm trying to think who else. Most of the rest of us have left from out there. But anyway, Centerville is still on the map. Just we had a general store and a blacksmith shop and a little. Mr. Walter Thompson had a garage where he worked on cars and tractors, and it was a wonderful little community there back in the 50s and 60s. Larry.
Well, you know,
and 40s.
that our end of the county is getting to be like the rest of the county. You're seeing a lot more houses and things being developed now, and of course you had a lot of the farms there around us that are still owned by the families that inherited them over the years. And I guess, you know, Coleman, if when we see some of those going away, you'll see more and more houses. And a lot of valuable land around there too. You know.
Well, you are. How long you been on the Board of Education?
Oh, Coleman, I think I served 2 terms, and then I got off, and then I got back on, and I'm back on going now my third. I've been there probably 20 years or more.
Well, I think your seniority is probably one reason you have continued to be chosen the chairman of the board. And of course, you're here representing, in a sense, Dr. Wright this morning. She can't be here, but to tell us what happened last night and just to talk in general about what's happening with the school. So you want to start with last night?
Yeah, we'll start with last night, and I know that Dr. Wright, usually when she comes into your show, she'll probably go from her script that what she calls her director's report that she presented to us last night, and I'll just go over some of the things that were on her director's report and try to talk about each one of them a little bit if I can. And of course, we just finished up with School Board Appreciation Week, and we want to thank everybody in all the schools and teachers and administrators that recognized us in some way or another during that time. And it is an honor to serve on a school board like I have, and it's been a privilege, and I appreciate all the kind words and things that were said to us last week. But it's not just that last week, it's all the time that people are telling us how much they appreciate what we do. Now, of course, we get a lot of people that tell us what a bad job we do, but, that goes with the territory. So, but Dr. Wright's really been following everything that's going on in Nashville with the education. There's been a lot of Zoom meetings and things, and she's been sitting on that. And she talked about that quite a bit last night, and the stance that they're taking on BEP. And I know her superintendent's organization has really kind of been active in letting the legislators and the senators know their position on a lot of the things that they're proposing to do, and like teacher raises, accountability of the Home Harvest Act, and summer school for third graders and that kind of thing. And it's a lot going on down there. From what I see looking from a distance, Coleman, a lot of it I think is posturing by people that, want to be seen, want to be heard, and I wish that they would listen more to the people that's in the business every day, and at least listen to what they got to say, and not just stand up there and talk about what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. But that's my feeling on that. And then we talked about we're going to have a retreat coming up here in the February where we're going to sit down and start talking about the budget process. It's important to realize that we've got 3 new board members that haven't gone through putting a budget together, and they're anxious to get started doing that and finding out exactly how things work. She talked about it. Our strategic plan. We're going to go over that during our retreat, and we're going to talk about staffing and enrollment for 21-22. One of the things that sort of tweaked my interest last night was, we've always participated in the foreign exchange student program, and Coleman, it's changed a lot since you were in school or I was in school and we had foreign exchange students. And nowadays, most of these things are run by for-profit organizations. And so we talked about that a little bit last night, and I think we're going to defer on having any foreign exchange students for this upcoming year. And a lot of that's probably going to be because there may be travel restrictions and where they can't get those people into the country. So, and we're at capacity anyway with all of our
kind of eliminating some headaches. Yes, probably.
Yes, and so we're probably not going to take part in that. And another thing, and I guess you're familiar, know this, is the TSSAA. They gone back starting last night to allow a third capacity in the gyms. And we're letting our cheerleaders and our dance teams be back in the gym, and so that's a good thing. And we're getting close to tournament time,
right?
And, I don't know whether I ought to say this or not, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think probably a lot of things that may have driven that thing was the TSSAA wanting their third of the gate. So when it comes tournament time, so I hope I'm wrong about that, but that's just the way I think, you know. So, but
well, I can understand.
Whatever it is, it's a good thing that our cheerleaders and our dance teams are allowed to be back and participate, and then our parents and friends can still get in the gym and watch.
We need to take a break. It's okay. All right, let's do. Larry Tomlinson, chairman of the school board, is here. We'll talk more in a moment. This is Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And it's now 7:49. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Absolute Kubota and Rental. They have Lamprey quality tractor implements, including cutters, finish mowers, box blades, tillers, and more. 5-year gearbox warranty. Extremely durable and well-built. 1506 West Main. Now at traffic. Here's Chuck.
Good morning. Looking a little bit better here on 24 East, up by Ellington Parkway from that earlier accident. Just now starting to develop some traffic here on Vietnam Vets coming through Hendersonville. There is a crash, possibly with injuries. Preston Road at Edenwood. That's going to be South Nashville. And 65 northbound ramp there at Rivergate. We saw some flashing lights there in the Goodlettsville area just a few minutes ago. 2 cars collided West End and Ackland Park. They're in Midtown. They're checking everybody out right now. Hey, check out the Andre Chicken Sandwich now, available at Princess Hot Chicken, 5814 Nolensville Pike. I'm Commander Chuck, your on-time traffic.
Welcome to Hearthside Senior Living, Lebanon's unique senior living community designed for seniors to age in place, all within a safe, comfortable, and Christian environment. Beautiful retirement homes designed for an independent lifestyle with maintenance-free living. Hearthside Senior Living also continues the excellent tradition of assisted living for those seniors who need additional services. Hearthside Senior Living, an independent retirement community and assisted living community, all on one campus in the heart of Lebanon. Call 615-443-1994 for a tour.
Coleman and Company, thanks for joining us. Dr. Donna Wright normally comes after each school board meeting. She couldn't be here today. Larry Tomlinson's here, the chairman of the Board of Education. So we've got a lot we could talk about, but we got about 10 minutes and we got to quit. So hit the high points.
Oh, well, you know, and Dr. Wright, we recognized the Teachers of the Year last night from a distance, and that would be Kim Bush from Patton Elementary, Katie Ingram from Barry Tatum Academy, and Brooke Holloway from Mount Juliet High School. So they were designated as Teachers of the Year. One thing probably too, Coleman, we need to talk about a little bit is some of the things that's going on in Nashville, and you've heard a lot about it because it's made a lot of been on the news a lot. Is you know, they're proposing that we do a summer school program now.
Yeah. Our legislators have talked about that.
And the third grade retention. Been a lot of talk about how far behind the kids are getting behind, and what we had a presentation at our work session last Thursday, I guess it was, and some from our academic supervisors, and the only thing that we see, Coleman, that we're lagging behind on is in our math scores. Mm-hmm. Everything else is either where it was or maybe a little bit better. So that's, but we do see a drop off there in math, and that's to be expected because you got to be there. You really need to be there doing it. And we all know everybody wants our kids back in school, and that's our goal, is to get them back full time as soon as we can. And one thing that's been troubling to us as a board is the fact that we haven't been able to get our teachers the vaccine. They haven't had their shots, and that's very troubling to us because they're in close contact with people every day, and for them not to have been given the opportunity to have the shot, and we've had, I think Dr. Wright said, out of all of our teachers, we've had over 1,400 that says they want the vaccine. Mm-hmm. So that's a real high number out of the, I guess what we got, 1,900 certified people, something like that.
So you're saying really teachers should have been higher up on the priority list?
Well, yes, I think they should have. I think that they should have been right there behind the first responders and our nursing home folks that Sean has that he has up there in his building. I think our teachers should have been. I'm not saying they should have been the first ones in line, but there should have been a priority.
Well, I know I have heard that part of the time when we had the problem at school, it wasn't the students as much as it was having somebody to teach them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't been able to keep the classrooms.
Yeah.
And Coleman, what's also frustrating about it all that is some of our surrounding districts, the smaller ones, they have been they've been able to get the vaccine, and I realize that we're us and Sumner and Rutherford's different because and Metro because of our size and the number of people that we have. But smaller districts like DeKalb, Smith, Trousdale, they were able to get theirs pretty quick. And I understand that, and I'm happy for them. But it's really been frustrating for us in Wilson County that we hadn't been able to get our teachers the shots that they need to have.
Well, are they scheduled at this time?
The last thing Dr. Wright told us was that, and hopefully this is not true, that they had told her that it might be March before we could ever get them all in and get them inoculated. And then if you're talking about that, then you're looking at we're out of school at the end of May.
Yeah.
So, you know, if things go
well, if they got to have 2 shots, you're talking about, I guess, in April when they get the second one.
Yeah. You know, I haven't had mine either, so, you know, and I'm an old man, really, but, you know, I guess you've had yours. I hope you have, but I haven't been able to get one yet. But, you know, it's coming, and, you know, I'm not concerned about that as much as I am disappointed that we haven't been able to get our teachers in there.
All right, now let back to the education thing. A lot was said about third graders and being that the people in the legislature and the governor apparently feel that we don't need to promote somebody until they get out of the third grade till they can read at pretty close to third grade level. Yeah. And they've made some inroads to this. I think paying for a summer school program and this sort of thing. Are y'all you got better idea?
You know, Coleman, that's a really good question, and reading is where it's all at. Reading and being able to comprehend what you read, and that is a problem, and but probably it needs to be addressed before the third grade, and that's what we try to look at that. You know, here as a district, I think that's good intentions. But in the summer school part of it, what's the funding mechanism that's going to be put in place to help fund that? Is that all going to fall back on the local education associations and county government to put the money in the budget to help pay for those summer school teachers? You know, if you're going to run a full program.
That's what the legislation.
And that, you know, but I haven't seen exactly what they're willing to put out there for that. Yeah. They talk about that. You know, it's a lot of times we talk about too. They talk about we're going to get a 4% raise, and that never happens. You know, especially in Wilson County, whenever we are at our ability to pay, and it's based off the BEP, and the BEP means Basic Education Program. And Wilson County decided a long time ago that we didn't want to be basic. We're above that level. And we have over 200 positions that we totally have to fund out of our budget, maybe more than 200 now, because of the courses that we offer and that kind of thing that takes us over that limit, plus our ability to pay as a local government.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of moving parts there.
What, anything come up last night or anything you want to tell us about construction, maybe beginning at the 2 schools that were damaged by the tornado last month?
We had a very lengthy discussion with our county attorney in executive session last night about where we're at during this process. I will say that Mike Jennings has really made a lot of progress within the last month on getting us to where we're at right now, and that's still an ongoing process. If we have time, you know, I'll go ahead and say we recessed the meeting last night simply because at the call of the chairman, at the direction or the suggestion of the county attorney, we can go back into session by really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Because this, like I said, it's a moving target too, and Mike is in daily contact with NFA, National
If I
Fire
read
Protection.
between the lines, I think you're saying there's a possibility a resolution might come real soon.
Hopefully
hopefully
it will. Not at liberty to talk about any of the details or anything about that because it is an ongoing discussion. And but I know that Attorney Jennings is really working hard, and he and Dr. Wright, to get this to some kind of resolution, and hopefully we'll have something there. Like I say, we did recess instead of adjourning the meeting. We recessed, and we can go back into session within a 24-hour notice.
Let me ask how are things going as far as replacing Dr. Wright?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. We had a long discussion about that last night too, and our HR department is handling that. They're the ones that'll be receiving the applications, and we've established a timeline as to where we're going to do all the way up until the May. We would like to be able to approve the contract with the new director by May the 3rd, and hopefully that we can stay on that timeline. But we got things in February that we're going to do. February the 12th is the last day that applications will be received, and then we'll start receiving those applications and on the 16th and looking at information. There'll be some surveys sent out. Last night we talked about asking our principals and to do an evaluation on Dr. Wright as to what they think, how her tenure's been here, and to also tell us what that they would like to see and expect in a new director, and we'll be getting that in February too. And in March, the board will start. Hopefully, we'll be able to meet and get it down to 5 finalists, and then we'll go on and have interviews, and we will involve the community in these discussions and that kind of thing.
All right, Larry, we're out of time. Unless it's something drastic you need to say, we need to call a halt right here.
I'm good, Coleman. I wish everybody a good day and
social distance. Very important still. All right, that's it for Tuesday. Hope you'll join us tomorrow. Till then, I wish you a terrific day.